you can feel your chair under you and the earth underneath, the cement underneath your chair. We come together this morning appreciating life for all that it brings to us. We know we are here as the face of God, as the face of the divine, each and every one of us. That's who we are. We ask ourselves right now if we are choosing life, if we are choosing what gives us life. And we take now a few moments of silence to spend with ourselves, contemplating what is our life. As we return to this place and time, we bring with us the same peaceful sense of where we just were. And we bring with us also a deeper appreciation and acknowledgement of the life that each one of us is choosing to bring forth. We're thankful to be here. We're thankful to be here with one another. And with that we say, Amen. Amen. So, that's the topic of my talk. It's your life. I've been working through the 12 powers for about 12 months now, and as I mentioned last month, when I chose I would do talks on the 12 powers, I thought, well, that's going to take me a good long time, and I won't have to think about what my talks are going to be. So this is my last of the 12 powers, so now I'm thinking about what my next talk will be. And how appropriate, the last of the 12 powers is life, which brings together every other power that we have talked about so far. So when you see this phrase, it's your life, do you feel like that? Or do you feel like that? Okay. And one of the ways we can feel like this is to ask ourselves that question of that first song by Mark Stanton Welch. He said, I choose what gives me life. I choose what gives me life. So this is the question I want us to kind of stay with through my talk. Do you know what gives you life? Right? Do you know what that is or what those things are? And are you choosing them? Are you choosing them as you go through life? Okay, I have an extra little line right there. From Charles Fillmore, we learn that the expression that life is, the expression of being, which manifests as animation, activity, and vigor. Okay? Animation, activity, and vigor. I imagine most of you have seen this movie, haven't you? E.T.? Yes. Okay, animation, life, and vigor, right? We have E.T. trying to hold on to his life. We have What was his name?
Elliot.
Elliot, thank you. Elliot, E.T., yes. And we have Elliot supporting that life, right? And we have near the end this wonderful scene of these boys on their bicycles, and they're charging across these bumps and flying over them, and then we see Elliot with E.T. up in the air, flying on his bicycle, and this animation, this vigor, this commitment to life, right? Elliot with his commitment to E.T.'s life, and E.T. with its own commitment to life, trying to figure out how to hold on to that life. So life is animation, vigor, activity. Charles Fillmore also tells us that being by nature formless, the life stream takes the mold and character of that into which it is poured. Okay? Being by nature formless, the life stream takes the mold of character into that which it is poured. Where is the life? What is the life stream being poured into? Yeah, right. Each and every one of us. So what shape, what mold are we giving to that life stream? What does it look like in us? What does it feel like in us? And it's very unique in each one of us. And we get to make the choice, right? What is it going to look like? So, what will guide your molding? Because we know this now, right? The life stream is formless. It's up to us to shape it. Well, I went back to 4 of the 12 powers that I thought were most, for me anyway, most influential in shaping the life force. And these are understanding, love and wisdom, and imagination. Okay, so we're going to go back to a few of these ideas that I've shared with you over the last year, let me say. Imagination, Charles Fillmore says, gives form to the formless. Okay, how much clearer could it be, right? The life stream is formless, he says. We need to give it form. And then he goes on to say, imagination gives it form. So what are you doing with that? What are you doing with that imagination? We could have here a bunch of colors all together. Anybody an artist? I know some of you are artists, use paints. What happens when you throw all the colors together, just like in mush? You get black. You get black. Nothing shows anymore. Nothing stands out. This Jell-O mold could be essentially black Jell-O if it all just mushed together. But instead, there's a conscious choice to let the colors shine, right? And so that's another metaphor I would use for our lives. How are we enacting ourselves to let those qualities, those skills, those abilities of ours shine right through in their trueness? Imagination is our conceiving, picturing, and conceptualizing force. Conceiving, picturing, conceptualizing. So then we can ask, how do you picture your life? How do you see your life? Do you see your life as joyful, as part of a flow of prosperity? Do you see your life as enfolded in love? Do you see your life in communion with others? Because how you see your life is how your life is. Right?
Right.
And how you will continue to create your life. There's a story about a person who lived in a town and said, boy, I've got to leave this town where I live because there's nothing going on here. It's boring. Nobody likes me. I don't like my neighbors. I just really need to leave this town. Person left the town. A year later, in the new town, the person said, I really hate this place. Nobody likes me. I don't like my neighbors. Right? Right? So much of our experience is what we bring with us and what we want to. And if what we want isn't here, what do? Create it. Right? We get to create things that are around us. We get to grow our experience. We had the wonderful opportunity here a couple of weeks ago to have Missoula Children's Theater back in town again for the second time. The town we lived in Wisconsin, had Missoula Children's Theater come every year once or even sometimes twice. And what they do, I think most of you are not familiar with that, but what they do, they have 98 pairs of people traveling at any one time, internationally. And those two people come to a town like Payson. One is a director on stage, one is a director off stage. They audition kids after school Monday. They rehearse Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. They do shows on Friday and Saturday with 60 local kids. And they do this all over the world, okay? I get goosebumps when I think about it. And it's really an accident of nature. These two guys were traveling about, I'll say our age. A lot of us here are about my age. Early 60s, about 40 years ago, they were traveling through Montana. Their car broke down near Missoula. And they, after a few days, they decided they liked it there. They were both into drama. There was no local theater, so they said, let's start a community theater. So they did. And then they went to a children's theater. And then they were going all over towns in Montana. And they were going to bring some kids up in the children's theater to have her one winter day. It was really cold. And they weren't sure if they should bring these kids on the road in this temperature. So instead they said, maybe we'll bring the adults up and audition for kids. They needed 6 kids. They had 80 kids show up to the audition and have her. And that was how the idea was born. This is an example of imagination. And they have, in the last 40 years, changed the lives of hundreds of thousands of kids all over the world because they followed this dream. And when we came to Payson, I said, there's got to be more going on for kids in this town. So I started working behind the scenes to get Missoula Children's Theater to come. And I got some people on board with me, and we brought them last year, and we brought them again this year. And now we actually have the budget to carry us forward. So, right, in 2 years. Okay? So I only tell that story because I ask you, what are you imagining? And you can make it happen. You can make it real. You can change your life. You can change the lives of people around you. So, our picturing force. How do you picture your life? How do you picture your town? How do you picture unity of Payson? This is a question I think we need to start to look more at. We've been here almost 2 years now. Thanksgiving, it will be 2 years. How do we picture unity of Payson? Is this how we picture it? Or is there something more than this that we picture? Okay, so I invite you to start to play with that. With our imagination, says Charles Fillmore, we lay hold of ideas and clothe them with substance. Imagination gives form to the formless. Okay? Imagination can power worry. You all seen Toy Story? Right? Here we have Woody. Oh, he's all scared, right? Because from sense consciousness, we have the ability to envision all sorts of errors and horrors, erroneous thoughts and feelings. So any of these 12 powers can go either way. They can all go either way. Imagination can make our lives horrible if we choose to imagine the horrible, right? If we choose to imagine fear, if we choose to imagine regret, if we choose to imagine whatever those, I can't think of anything else right now, but if we choose to imagine that stuff, it's in our lives, and it's going to be very real. We can go that direction. We make a conscious choice. What are we going to do with it? Okay? So imagination, very important. Because we want to make sure, this was Cora Fillmore said this, the eye of your mind saw the superb thing you were capable of bringing forth. The eye of your spirit sees the superb thing you are capable of bringing forth. So we need to be in alignment with that eye of spirit, that eye of divinity, to join together and see that same thing and let it happen. So imagination is one of the powers that helps us shape our life. Now I want to go to wisdom and love, which are represented from Charles Fillmore by the brothers James and John, because wisdom and love are so intimately tied together. So he appointed the 12, James, son of Zebedee, and John, the brother of James, to whom he gave the name Sons of Thunder. You read this in Mark. Sons of Thunder, because when you put wisdom and love together, you have got a bunch of power. Charles Fillmore sort of warns us and says, love without wisdom can send us all down all kinds of crazy, frivolous paths. Wisdom without love can be harsh and hard, a little too intellectual. So the Sons of Thunder, when we put wisdom and love together, we've got such a foundation. And sometimes in unity we refer to wisdom also as judgment or discretion, because it's that act of judging what is ours to do and how do we go about that. We read in John, do not judge by appearances, but by right judgment. And what do we mean by right judgment? Spiritual? Yeah. Judge by spiritual judgment. Look at the world through your divinity and make choices that way. We also think of love as the law of attraction. Okay? Moving to love. Love as the law of attraction. What are we bringing? What are we attracting into our lives? And what are we being attracted toward? Gravity is an attraction, really. All the time, we are being attracted to the earth, literally, through this thing that we have decided to call gravity. So wisdom, choices, discretion, and love, the law of attraction. And then we move to understanding. Imagination, love and wisdom, and understanding. Alice Hossman wrote this, a wonderful book about the 12 powers, and she says, understanding is the faculty which puts feet under our prayers as we learn to listen to the brain of the heart. This is just one of my absolute favorite statements, and the picture that goes with it, as we learn to listen to the brain of the heart, which for me, again, really ties back to this partnership between wisdom and love. As we learn to listen to the brain of the heart, how do we understand the world? How do we understand each other? How does our understanding shape who we are on any given day? Understanding is our open, inquisitive, and insightful self. That's what understanding is. There's a statement in Proverbs to the effect that those who learn will be blessed, and those who are not open to learning will suffer, right? And really that's what understanding is. It's our willingness and ability to take in, to learn, to see what's going on around us through new and fresh eyes. I got a lot of laughs when I showed this before, and it's very true. This is Charles Fillmore. There are two ways of getting understanding. One is to go blindly ahead and learn by hard experience. Gee, you're right, humans don't land on their feet. Okay, so we can gain understanding this way if we want to, right? We get lots of hard lessons, lots of painful stuff, lots of falling on our faces, and even though we are in our divinity, there's still going to be some of this, right? I mean, there's still going to be some of this. So part of understanding is having a little bit of humor around it. But the less of this we can have, the more joyful our lives are going to be, right? And the easier. And when we talked about understanding, we visited Solomon, who said, "You have made your servant king in place of my father David. I do not know how to go out or come in. Give your servant, therefore, an understanding mind to govern your people." Well, Solomon knew a lot, okay? He grew up, he was the son of David. He grew up in this house, watching his father make all kinds of solid, divinely guided choices. Yet when he was given the kinghood, he said, "I do not know how to go out or come in." That humility, right? That no matter what we know, we don't know it all. There's always some learning that is going to present itself to us. And Solomon is a wonderful model of knowing a whole lot and still saying, "Help me out here. Give me an understanding mind." And then we have more stories in the Bible of Solomon in his kinghood making incredibly wise, guided choices. And no matter what we're looking at, in the silence, we learn to lift our vision above things as they commonly appear. So if we say, what are our tools to shape our life in such a way that we're using our appreciation, our wisdom and love, and our understanding? Meditation, coming back to those quiet moments, a quiet second even to stop before we blurt. I had another lesson this week from Zoya when I started. I had this going on and I had this going on and I had this going on at the same time, and we were going to the valley and I was trying to take care of some stuff at the condo down there, and something wasn't happening right. And I had a lesson again, right? And I had a lesson again that I don't need to do that. I can stop. I can stop. I know I'm going to have more of those lessons because this is a hard one for me, because I tend to jump and react. But when we have people in our lives who will tell us, knock it off, stop it, right? These people are blessings in our lives, and they help us get to this place of understanding ourselves better. In addition to meditation and silence, where we can learn to lift our vision above things as they commonly appear. Because what do we know about appearances?
They're not permanent.
They're not permanent.
They're limited.
They're limited.
Be deceiving.
They can be deceiving. Absolutely. All of these things. So lifting our vision above things as they commonly appear. To remember to do that. This is a slide I came across for one of my talks, and it's just so precious I had to share it again today as we think about how we build our lives. There exists in each of us and in little letters it says, not so secret, yearning for magic. We somehow know it will take only a hint of it for us to admit that anything is possible. And then it says, anything? Everything. How surprised we will be that first time at that first fissure, that first crack in reality as we've what does that say? Narrowly, as we've narrowly defined it, to find that we are the ones waving the wands. We are the ones waving the wands of our own lives. We bring the magic. We bring the imagination. We bring the creativity to our own lives. So, you're holding the wand. And it's your life. And we go back to our start with our song by Mark Stanton Welch. I now choose this path of living. I now choose what sets me free. These are affirmations. And let's close with these. If you would say these with me. Together?
I now choose this path of living. I now choose what sets me free.